JavaScript array map function is invoked on an array. As its name suggests, it is used to map or transform the values of array elements. In this video, you will learn how to use map to create a new array with completely different values from another array. Before moving further, I would urge you to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any new video. Typical scenarios where map can be used for an array of numbers are: to add or subtract a value from array elements, multiply or divide each array element with some value, find square of elements or square root of elements, etc. For string array, it can be used to reverse each array element, change elements to uppercase or lowercase, remove specific character from elements, extract substring from elements, etc. Similar operations can be applied over object arrays using map function. Map can also be used to create an array of objects for an integer array, and we will look at this with an example later in the video. Let's define an array of numbers. We will be using map function of JavaScript array to get the squares of elements of this array. You can see that map accepts a callback function as argument. This callback function is invoked for each element of this array, as written here. Callback function itself accepts 3 arguments. First is the current array value, for which it is called. Second is the index of this array element, and third is the array itself. Out of these, only the value is mandatory, other 2 are optional. So, provide a single argument to this function. Square of a number is the number multiplied by itself. Return this value. Map returns a new array. It does not modify the original array. Assign it to a new array. Print this array. Look. We get the squares of elements. Next, we will modify this code to use arrow function, introduced in JavaScript ES6, instead of this callback function. Arrow functions simplify the syntax of writing functions. Copy this code. Comment it. With arrow function, we can omit the function keyword and directly write the function argument, followed by an arrow. That's it. Save. We get the same result. It's that simple. Moreover, if the function contains a single return statement, then the curly braces and return keyword are also not required. Remove these. Works fine. Look how simpler it is with an arrow function. Now let's look at creating an object array out of array of numbers with map function. First, we will use conventional callback function, and then an arrow function. Uncomment this. Create an object with key as number and value as the array element. Return this object. Look. We have an array of objects. Rename this variable to avoid confusion between key and value. Save. Works. Both these 2 lines can be written as a single statement to make this more cleaner. Now let's use arrow function to achieve this. Comment this out. Uncomment the arrow function code. Rename the argument to avoid confusion as before. Surround by curly braces to create an object. Now, as explained earlier, when there is a single statement, we can write it as a single line. So, this should work, right? Let me show you something interesting. Save this. Look what we get. This is because, when we use curly braces, the arrow function considers it as a code block, and this code block does not return anything. So, we need to explicitly add return statement. And since we are using a return statement, we need to surround it by curly braces. Move this to another line, for clarity. Save the changes. Works. There is another way, if you do not want to use return statement. Surround this block by parenthesis. Save, this also works. Finally, let's head over to the documentation of map method. Though you have understood map function, it is always better to go through official documentation. It says the same as we learnt. Here are the parameters that it takes. And here is the value returned by map function. That is all for this one. Thanks for watching.